Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Creative Insider podcast, episode number 41. And yeah, this is a special edition of the podcast, a midweek edition. So we hope you're going to enjoy. In this special edition, after the success of our different podcast, which was made in number 36, where we talked together with Désirée about the bullet journal method, we decided to do another one. And this time we're going to break down the topic of social media, how they affect us, the positive and the negative sides of social media and technology in general. And I'm going to go through a digital declutter, a very good practice. We're breaking down the practice which comes from the book of Cal Newport, Digital Minimalism. So if you're interested in the topic and in this one more creative challenge, I suggest you to tune in this episode, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. But before we start, I'm going to tell you that exactly for this reason, exactly for all the attention craving things that we have in our lives, we decided to create an email list, a newsletter every month to give you a sum up of what happens on the Creative Insider, so that you don't need actually to listen all the episodes. And in this way, you can pick the episodes which you are interested in or you think you're going to like more. And yeah, so click the link in the description of this episode to join our newsletter and to support our podcast. If you want, you can follow us on our social media, where we're going to post 3 times a week, basically. Monday, our guest; Wednesday, something else; and Friday, now we have the hits. The hits are carousels which gonna help creatives with different skills about creative hustle, creative improvements, creative triggers, and creative skills. So if you want to know more about those, just follow our social media channels at TCI Podcast on Instagram, or the Creative Insider on LinkedIn and Facebook. And once a week, if you want, go check out and you're going to see our carousels. And from now on, I suggest you to enjoy this special edition midweek, the Creative Insider podcast. Have fun, guys.
Just like that. The whole world stops just like that. Just like that.
Hello, everybody. Another special episode of the Creative Insider. And of course, today with me, as in every other special episode, my co-host is with me.
Hi, everybody.
Désirée is back. So we were thinking that after we did one podcast, which was a little bit different than the usual, when we did the number 36, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
About the bullet journal method. Yeah, that was a try. It was a test and went pretty well. People apparently listened to it and enjoyed it. So today we're going to do another one of those, and we're going to get to talk about a topic that we have mentioned in that other podcast, which was digital declutter and digital minimalism. So for the one who don't know, I've mentioned in the podcast number 36 that in the beginning of the year, I started bullet journaling. If you want to know what is this, you can go and listen to that podcast. But I also tried to do a digital detox, digital declutter, and that went wrong. So everybody who does these kind of videos, they always show you like, I don't know, oh, I tried the Elon Musk lifestyle for 14 days and this is how cool I am. Or I tried for 14 days or 30 days or whatever, something. And they always say how successful they were and how good they are and make you feel kind of bad. And
Yeah, nobody talks about how hard it is to change behavior.
yeah, I mean, they kind of do, but they always like, oh, now I'm a completely different person and I'm like totally cool and I'm totally hardcore. Well, it's not the case. I tried it and it's difficult. And today we're going to try to break down the whole topic with the digital declutter and the digital detox. And this podcast was inspired by the book we have both read, which is called Digital Minimalism from Cal Newport, who, in my opinion, he's a great author because he has I've written also other books, Deep Work I also read, it's pretty interesting. And the other book that I have in our library, it's I think it's so good, You Cannot Be Ignored or something like that, but I haven't read that one yet. So let's start with breaking down the topic of the digital world, the technology, and all the gears we are surrounded with. So we live in a highly technology world. Like we have high tech everywhere around us. We basically always carry with us like a very high end computer, which is our smartphone, and
Our attention is glued to it all the time.
yeah, we have like nowadays computers feel like a little bit outdated because you can do basically everything from your smartphone, or almost everything. Basically, computers are now only work tools, and all the digital content, it's focused on mobile because it's just portable, easier to consume. And of course,
and apps too. Apps make it really easy too. You don't go into your browser and have to sign in some way. You just press an icon and you're immediately in that technology world or in that content world. So
yeah, I think that they make it difficult to use some functions of some websites through your, for example, mobile browser, or because they want you to download the app. And there are so many of those now. Like I think in the beginning of the iPhone in 2007, there were like I don't know. I'm gonna say a number like 1,000 or 10,000 apps, and now probably there are millions. But this topic has been demonized recently a lot. You know, like how bad is the smartphone? How bad is technology? How bad is social media?
well, yeah, maybe not how bad is, but what are the implications that can be bad for your mental health, for your physical health, for your professional health? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is true, but I want to start from a different starting point, which will be like, let's first check what are the benefits of technology. Because I mean, if all we are hooked on this technology and social media, there must be something good. And recently, in the last few weeks, I've been telling you also, like, if you remember the first days of Facebook, which is not the first social media, but I think it's the first like really massive social media with a massive participation. And it was very different than what we have now. I remember you were more in control over Facebook. You were looking for the people. You didn't have suggestions. And you would get a notification only in case somebody texted you, or somebody want to be your friend, or somebody. I think in the beginning we didn't even have tags. You couldn't tag people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And you would get a notification if somebody commented, I think, under your picture, which is like 3 things. And then you didn't have all these functionalities that you have nowadays. You barely had video. You had some pictures. And that was like a cool thing, because you could go on and just you decide, okay, I want to add that friend, or I want to look for that person. And then I think back in the days there was, I think the first time I downloaded or subscribed, I didn't know even exactly what is Facebook. I was like, let's give it a try. And I was wondering, why would people put their own name on Facebook? Like, why? Because there were other forms of social media like MySpace and stuff like that. And I remember...
But not everybody put their name. Like at the beginning, it was sort of like the Hotmail era where everybody was like, Cute Cookie 72. So I remember... Not everybody put their real name, but some form of their name.
On Facebook?
Yeah. Back when I joined it, it wasn't, for example, your first name, last name. It was maybe something like, I don't know, Bambi Frankfurt or something like that. Some people were still doing that because you were just used to that from the 90s, I guess. That you just made up a persona, and I think that phased out after a while. And it was very much about people, too. Like at the beginning, everything you're describing is about people. And now it's about companies also.
I remember that was the thing that, because I have tried other sort of social media, and what I really hated is that when I signed for Facebook, when I signed up Facebook, was like the period of time when there were a lot of emos. If you remember those.
Yeah.
And in this social media, they would make some crazy name with a lot of, special symbols. And it would be all pinky and, I don't know, weird colors. And it looked so unattractive to me. Maybe back then already I had some sort of, design was important somehow unconsciously. And when I saw Facebook, which looked so much cleaner, and I like that everybody have the same page, just a picture, and they call themselves with their own name. At least all the people that I knew and were on Facebook. And this is how I decided to join, and it was nice. And I remember also, to go a little further back, I come from Bulgaria, so I'm like born in the 80s, although I'm born in the 90s, because it's like 10 years later, everything arrived 10 years later. And I remember the first time my dad came back from Italy to Bulgaria, and he had for my mom a cell phone, and that was like so cool. And it was like, and I remember that it was like, you would have your cell phone for emergency, and you will call only in emergency case, because it was super expensive to call from the cell phone. And that was positive, because suddenly you would have this tool which is with you, and if something happens and you're on the road, or you're in danger, or you're late, you're just gonna call. I remember when we didn't have cell phones yet, we would be, for example, at my grandma's house, and she lives like 1 hour away from Sofia by car. So we would leave and we would say bye, and she would say, call me when you're back home. And,
yeah, I remember that too.
And we would drive 1 hour, be back home, call my grandma, tell her, hey, grandma, we're back. And so this is for me definitely something good. Like, you have a technology which is always with you, which can really save your life. Imagine like you're somewhere on the road and you have a car crash and you need to call an ambulance or something like that.
Yeah, or you don't know where you are. I remember moving when Google Maps was one of the first apps, and everybody started using that. Before Google Maps, I would go around in a new city and have looking for apartments and have a picture of the map printed out on a piece of paper, trying to figure out, am I facing north or am I facing south at the moment? Which way do I have to walk? And now it's just like, you take the app, you say, okay, where am I? Point it in the direction, and then that Google Maps tells you, okay, you're going this and that way. I think that was one of the biggest benefits for me, is to actually know where you're going in a new city when you're moving all the time.
Yeah, that came a little later. I think that was really after 2007, after they released the iPhone.
Yeah, that was after. Yeah.
And the first Google Maps versions were like not that good as today's one. But it was cool. Also, I remember when they released applications like WhatsApp or Viber or Signal, where Signal is now the most recent one, but like you have these apps where you just download the app and you have internet connection, which was already included in your sort of monthly bill
mobile plan.
Yeah, and then you could unlimitedly text everywhere. Like I remember also, because as someone that was living internationally, and you did too, we would have like we would buy phone cards, go on a public phone, and then insert the card and then call internationally. And then there were, people saying legends about, if you buy this certain phone card for the public phone, you pay less, but you can talk more and stuff like that, when it was very expensive. And then Skype first kicked in, and Skype was the first game changer. But it was also like you could just connect with people who have a computer. So there was a no-go with our with my grandparents. And then Skype offered to pay Skype to call unlimitedly there. And then that was also very cool, because finally we could talk, and it was so funny because we would call and we would talk, and my grandma after a while would be like, it's not getting too expensive, isn't it getting too expensive? And we were like, no, Grandma, we pay like a fixed €5 per month and we talk as much as we want. And that was super cool also. Like, this is a very positive thing for technology, for connecting people for a very low tariff. And we have experienced all of this right now during this pandemic, that although we need to stay at home, we always can organize some video call, talk with our friends, hang out, even if it's not the same thing, but it's still way better if we didn't have this technology.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, with the new technology, like LinkedIn, Instagram, the new form of social media, you have also more exposure, whether as a personality or as a business.
Yeah.
You have this small platform where you can, of course, arguably more or less put out good content or good information that will make you sort of a platform where you can share your own skills, and you can communicate with other people. You can get to know people that you didn't know before. Because, for example, if I think most of our guests that come on the podcast, sometimes I don't know them at all. I just find their content, I contact them, and we start chatting, and they're excited, and then you just connect, and then you have this person that lives somewhere completely different, which in a completely different place, and you wouldn't have met them probably never. And then thanks to social media, you have the possibility to find those people and contact them and talk to them. And also LinkedIn, for example, now there are a lot of people which find work through these connections, because you have a sort of a more professional profile where people can see what you have done in the past professionally, and they might contact you, or businesses will publish their own job offers, and they will I think this is a positive thing.
Well, yeah, but that's also where it gets really tricky, because more exposure and more turnaround on the content as well means also more pressure to produce and to put things out there. Everything has a shorter lifespan in the net, because there's just so many people producing things. So it comes with a flip side of the coin as well. And I think that's where, exactly going into our topic of digital detoxing and digital minimalism, that's where we have to be aware of of the toll it pays on our attention and on how we spend our days.
Yeah, and I think that this thing started slowly degenerating when the people from the tech companies realized this was something which could make them a lot of money.
Yeah, I think that's a turning point too, because Facebook at the beginning, if you think about it, it was about connecting people across the globe, to have everybody be closer even though they're far away. And as soon as they switched from being a company or a platform that is people-focused to a platform that is really, I don't want to say marketing-focused, but more like company and monetization-focused, and it really turned into a business, that's where it gets kind of, I don't know, you have as a user on that platform, you get this really weird feeling that you're not the most important thing on their mind.
Yeah, I mean, also if you consider what kind of money you need to keep up a platform like Facebook or Instagram or Google or LinkedIn, I mean, these algorithms and this amount of information requires buildings full with hardware which runs the whole system. And basically you get something that before was completely inaccessible. You can create, like you can use sort of server functionalities with, of course, limited amount of data, like of amount of space for free, but it's still for free. And we're like probably billions around the globe that are using those services for free. And when something is free, it means you don't pay it with money, you pay in some in a different way.
Yeah, but that's the tricky thing, is like...
And that's the tricky thing, that a lot of people think, oh, this is so nice, it's free, I'm going to use Google and Facebook. And I mean, of course, this is also, I don't know if you say that in English, we say in Italy, knife with two edges, because for example, all these algorithms that are generated by Facebook now, because they have been improving slowly in towards, like in the time when since Facebook started and today, can be also used by small businesses, by small local businesses. I read an article from Forbes which says that small businesses also notice that when they use properly Facebook ads or Google ads, their revenue goes high. I don't remember exactly with which percentage, but it was a significant percentage. We can put the link in the description, of course, of this article, so people can read it themselves. So this is also another aspect that, for example, nobody, when they say, yeah, social media is bad, it's always a gray area. It's like...
I don't think you can see it like that. I think this is what you're getting at. It's not black or white. It's not good or bad. It's just, you have to just be aware what it means and aware of what it does to you and to your business. But I agree, for small businesses, it's a great opportunity to tap into high-end analytics technology to better sell and cater to your audience. And that's a positive thing. Yes, totally. It's just, I think another aspect that is a little tricky is the role that these platforms have in our professional and personal lives. For example, if you're not, a few years ago, it was still like, oh my God, you're not on Facebook, you're not joining the newest hype, you're not on Twitter, you're not TikToking or something, you're not competitive in the job market then, or in the personal market or anything. So I think that's starting to change a little, but still the pressure to take part in it, it's kind of like global peer pressure. It's, I don't know, it's unconcerning in my opinion sometimes.
Yeah, and of course nobody thinks like about data. A lot of, and myself too, I was used to think, okay, data is something that you share somehow anyways, like you cannot cut yourself off of the rest of the world. But currently I'm reading another book, which is called Permanent Record from Edward Snowden. And I'm not at the part in the book where he's basically tells his story and how in this timeline, this permanent record of data has started. And a lot of people think, data, people who want to hide data, are people who have something to hide. But it's not really true, because everybody has something to hide. Like,
I don't think it's something to hide. I think it's more like privacy. I think privacy is an issue.
Yeah, but this is like, I don't know. Imagine you say something in private with some friend, like silly thing for a joke, or I don't know, you flirt with someone, whatever. And then in 5 or 6 years, you become some person of importance, of public relevancy. And those people, theoretically, like, I'm not saying that they would do it, but somehow could happen, because if this data is somewhere, they could pick it up from there and be like, here, Désirée was texting with this XY person, and they were doing, like, I don't know, racist jokes or sexual jokes. And then suddenly all the things that, you would not say publicly, or just say it among, like, under friends just for fun, not really seriously, can be completely changed and manipulated to destroy your persona.
That's why they say the internet never forgets. So,
exactly.
But that's one aspect. The more extreme version of that is in journalism, that there are certain journalists that uncover things that are going on in the world that have to do with political corruption or very politically intense areas, and they're not safe because, for example, their emails are read or the servers aren't safe or anything. So it's that aspect too. It's the same thing, just in a very more intense setting.
Yeah, well, as many of the listeners know, I love to listen to the Joe Rogan Experience, and they were joking around, like, why it's important. And TikTok, for example, it's sort of under American control, because a lot of people in the US use TikTok and they TikTok around. It was saying, imagine now, like, the current president of the United States in 2050, it's on TikTok. I don't know, maybe it's a girl that does, I don't know, provocative dances or something like this, and in 20 years she becomes president, and then China comes up with, I don't know, videos of her half naked twerking on TikTok or something like that. So that's one aspect of the whole thing, that this is as you said, internet never forgets, and, like, although people forget, in my opinion, but still, like, you will have
but you can just, it's what newspapers were back then. They were archived and they were digitized in a very primitive way, but still they were digitized. And now you have that aspect with every person, no matter if you have one friend or are a celebrity and are followed by millions. So it's really democratized reputation in some way. Everybody has some form of reputation. I don't think back then people said, like, oh, my reputation. If you were like you and me, we didn't use that word. We weren't celebrities or something. And now it's really, that's where personal branding comes from as well. It's about that exposure that we're talking about. But I'm a data privacy nerd, as you know, so.
Yes, you're crazy about it.
I'm not crazy. I'm just aware or conscious.
You go a little bit overboard, but it's okay.
Hey, I let Alexa into the house.
Yeah, now
that's
now
very.
I give you a little moment to kill Alexa, and then you kill her in the first possible chance.
Yeah, but I think the important thing there is that you don't force your view and your opinion on other people. So I think that's important too.
Yeah, no. But a part of this sort of personal status issues, what it's recently have been talked around a lot of media, podcasts, TV shows, Netflix shows. It's also all the mental health issues that you have through this social media, because as we were saying before, you have lack of attention, like attention span drops down, and through the whole fake images that you see, because when you post something on the internet, you can decide how to take the picture, to smile. Maybe it's a moment where it's a complete disaster, but I don't know, you're like smiling. And I remember this summer when we were like saying, to me it was really weird when we went for the only weekend we allowed ourselves to go somewhere in 2020 was a weekend in Baden-Baden. And there were like a lot of these couples where the guy was taking picture of the girl and they looked so lame if you would have seen them like from a side. But then this picture go on Instagram, and I mean, like, for example, that city was nothing amazing. It was a nice place to visit, but it wasn't like super great. But if you take a picture, or for example, maybe we have a fight and we have a picture of our breakfast and say, oh, this breakfast was super nice and we went there and we did that, and like someone else that looks at the picture thinks, oh no, I'm so sad because I'm here not doing anything.
Yeah,
cool.
It's that peer pressure and that.
And they're like having fun in Baden-Baden, but the reality is that maybe we didn't have that much fun. We just needed to show off.
So I think it's two things. You're the director of your own life in some way. You're creating your own life editorial. And on the other hand, it's this comparison. You constantly, unconsciously compare yourself to those pictures. And like you said, it's like, oh my God, my life isn't that exciting. Or, oh, I wasn't in Greece. Or I don't know what. Oh, I didn't manage to visit New York last year, and they did. And oh my God, look at that cronut. And I don't know.
Yeah, and then there are nowadays with this advanced technology, you have all the filters on Instagram, for example, where I don't know, my cousin used them a lot, and I hate when I see her pictures because she looks like, I don't know, a playmate or something like that.
Oh, you mean the ones where they make the lips and the eyes and everything?
I don't know what they exactly do, but you look weird. You look like a plastic doll.
Yeah.
And it's extremely bad when I see that, for example, I follow the national proud of Italy, Chiara Ferragni, on Instagram, because if you have an Italian passport, that's like you have to follow her. And she uses that sometimes, and I'm like, why does she do that? Like, she looks good already. Why she needs to put this extra, I don't know how to call it, this fakery.
Yeah.
And then the girls who, like little girls, which are maybe teen girls, watch those pictures, see those pictures, they will be like left with a lot of unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think social media started with reality, and now it's sort of like social reality on social media, and then the real reality. But in the last few years, there have been a few, I think on YouTube, a few videos of, okay, this is behind the scenes of how I get the shot taken and everything. So you are a little more brought into that world. But still, maybe you look at the picture and you say, oh, that's a filter, I know. But you're still going to compare yourself deep down, or you're still going to feel, I mean, that's where FOMO comes from, fear of missing out. You're still going to feel like you missed out on something if you weren't there and there, or did that and that, or bought that and that, or use XYZ as a, I don't know what.
Yeah, and also, for example, YouTube is also a great like attention
hog.
And they're like the people who are doing videos on YouTube currently are like super skilled filmmakers and directors, and they know how to do all the lighting and those sweet blurred background and the color shading and everything looks so much better than or everything looks perfect because they have studios which are dedicated for video making, and that looks very cool, but that's not their real life. It's just a very well set up video, like a Hollywood movie, which is supposed for you to watch, and then you.
Yeah, everybody's like becoming an online personality, or maybe not say everybody, but a lot of more people are becoming sort of online personalities with, I want to say something like online reputations and online jobs as a content producer or something. So, but I think we're getting off track from the minimalism aspect.
No. Well, we are also content creators, so we are also sort of we produce something that can distract you, but that's why I try to do 1 episode a week, not like 5 episodes a week or something like that, so that people can listen to 1 episode and it's okay.
And that's why we started the newsletter too, to say like, okay, you don't have to listen, and that's why we're going to recap it, because we're aware that attention is something valuable that, you know, you can maybe spend more time and put it into your craft.
Yeah, or listen to something more specific.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, maybe by reading this sum up, which takes me 3 minutes, I can know what happened the whole month. And
then go back to it then maybe,
Yeah, or go back in the future and think, oh, I've listened to this podcast, what happened?
But do you know what they call the current economy? So in the last 10 years, they, in general, the economy was called attention economy, because it was all about getting the attention of people, getting likes, getting views, getting people's time on a certain content or advertisement or website. Now we're entering the stage where we're going into a creator economy, which is about basically people like what we're doing, actually trying to create value and to create things that are not from a product selling perspective, but more from a creative perspective. And this is sort of trend-wise, we're moving into that creator economy. That's actually what it's called at the moment.
But what do you mean by creator economy? That like these different platforms will try to attract the different creators? That
as well, but more that being a creator and collaborating with other creators is something that is going on at the moment, and that is building. Like a few years ago and in the past 2 decades, it was a lot about creating a product and selling that product and grabbing attention to that product or that brand. And now it's going more into the sphere of creating things, creating ideas, creating concepts, and individuals, not only businesses, but individuals having a stake in the economy, which is also something that has to do with monetization, but having a different stake in how you communicate with audiences and how you collaborate with audiences.
Okay, that's interesting. It's something new I didn't know about. Because if you think about it, it's so weird right now, because also those platforms are, you have this attention economy, so the platforms try to do everything to keep you on the platform. And recently I've read, for example, on Instagram, one post of, I don't remember which, was one of those accounts that gives you tips about how to grow Instagram. And then there was like this weird suggestion how to boost your post visibility. It's like to have the app on your phone and post something with the notifications turned on the phone, and then after you posted your post, not to go on Instagram for a few hours. So Instagram, the algorithm will try to push your post so you get more visibility, and people eventually gonna like it, so you're gonna get more notifications, and then you're gonna go back on the platform. And when I read this is silly. Like, I'm gonna do social media for this.
No, that's not silly. That's screwed up.
Yeah, that's screwed up. It's so perverse.
I did not know that.
So when I read this and they were like, do this to boost your Instagram visibility, I'm like, yeah, and to fuck up my mental health for...
Yeah, not only that, but to not attract quality audiences as well. I mean, that's the thing. It's like... Boost your visibility means get more attention. That's the exact. Yeah, that's a perfect example.
Like, I don't know, but I'm not ready to do anything. I mean, we do social media, and we recently also launch like our hits, which will be the carousels. But also with that, I decided that you're gonna have sort of some sign, some badge on the first slide where people can see what is it about, and they will be able to decide if they want to scroll through the whole thing or not, and that's okay. And I mean, this is my little, so to say, personal rules and personal ethics about social media, and I'm like not ready to do anything, like everything to get more followers or more exposure. I believe more that we need to focus on doing the best of this podcast and on our content to add value. And if people like it, I mean, I've mentioned that I've read Contagious, a book about how people get viral. And like in that book, the guy says that actually people communicate more in person. You're more like prone to say your friends what you watch, what you listen to, because it's sort of your social status. It's like the way you brag with your friends or your people, like, hey, listen to this show because it's really cool. And if you listen to that show that's really cool and they see it and approve it, you will be by proxy, you will be cool. Mm-hmm. So this is my idea of growth. Like I would like people to talk about this podcast to their friends or their family or whoever, and in person say, hey, I'm listening to this podcast. It's maybe not perfect, but it's, I don't know, it's getting better, or it's nice, it's cool, and go check it out. Not because the most of the growth doesn't come through social media, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And like this is approved because the biggest podcast is Joe Rogan, and he never, like in the beginning, he never promoted it, nowhere. Just slowly, I don't know, like a snowball effect grew. And recently, I also read this rule in this law in my book Super Thinking, which is called the Law of Diminishing Utility. Which, if you think about it, it's kind of logic, but it's not obvious. This law says that when you consume something, when you consume a little bit of this something, it has no utility. But more you consume it, this utility decreases. Which means, for example, to compare social media to a cake, if you have one piece of cake, it's good because you need something sweet and it's good for your soul. But if you have 10 pieces of cake, you feel crappy because you ate too much, and then you're like, you have too much sugar, and then you're gonna gain weight, and it's not gonna be good for you. So I consider social media sort of like a cake, because as we said in the beginning, they have some positive aspect, but the more, if you're constantly on social media, you won't be getting done anything. You won't.
Yeah, you get addicted. You can get addicted to sugar too, and like with any addiction, it's like you say, it gets unhealthy.
Yeah. So from this point, I want to say, okay, people shouldn't be like go extreme and panic and be like, let's kill completely social media or stop using it forever or ban it or whatever. I always say
or judge people that use it still a lot. That's also a big one.
Yeah. So I think the rule would be don't panic, organize. So instead of panicking, you should, or how one of my other idols from the podcast world would say, Jocko Willink would say, discipline equals freedom. So if you discipline yourself, you will be free to do whatever you want. And if you can discipline yourself, good. More time to work.
Good. More time to play. Good.
I love the meme with food where he's fed and it says food. For the people who don't know, you can Google good on YouTube and see this video of Jocko. But it's there are also nice memes about.
Okay, but our meme is don't panic, organize.
Don't panic, organize. No, it's basically saying discipline equals freedom, which means decluttering equals freedom.
Yes, thank you.
If I were decluttered,
this.
if I were decluttered, I wouldn't be looking around for my stuff all the
Or
time.
asking, where is ...
But because I don't declutter at home. You declutter at home, so I don't know. Like maybe you put it somewhere, or you sew it somewhere, and I know that if you sew something in a place where it shouldn't be, you wouldn't move it, but you will remember because it bothers you, and you'll be like,
No, I remember because I know you'll ask me in a few hours where that thing is, and then I'll know because I registered it in my mental decluttering file.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, this case, we'll try to do a social media declutter, which it's inspired. We have to say that from Cal Newport, who is a computer science professor at Georgetown University, and I think this guy is pretty smart because he has written many books. As I mentioned before, there is the deep work book, which is based on his deep work hypothesis, which he defines as the ability to concentrate without distraction on a demanding task. And this is the deep work, what he defines as deep work. And this is becoming, in his opinion, more rare. It's difficult because, of course, we have all this source of distraction.
Yeah, but also in our workplace, I feel that that's become even worse with home office now. It's like everybody's expecting everybody to be online and in the chat and in the email all the time. It's just sometimes you need a few hours to actually create something and focus on something.
Yeah, that's something he says in his book Deep Work, especially with emails. Then he has this other theory. It's called attention capital theory. So like where he says like we in the modern world, the most of the jobs are brain jobs. You need to be like working with your brain, and you have to be able to sustain these long times of attention and have to be able to really sharply focus on learning something new, which is difficult to learn. And this will be your sort of super skill to come ahead in your career or in your field. And of course, it's the theory that we want to really go into. It's digital minimalism, where he describes these services and devices. They're made in a way that they are addictive, and they can destroy these first two abilities: to work deeply, think about a subject, or learn a new subject. And he has this philosophy called digital minimalism, which says you should radically reduce the time you spend online, focusing on other activities, which is our small number of activities. And those things will deeply be valuable for you, and they should be valuable for you, and this value will decrease your crave for this meaningless social media attention. And what he says is like your time, their money, because the most time you spend on these platforms, you're giving your time, which it's not coming back, and they're earning money out of you. And by the way, you're giving also your money, because time is money, so it's double trouble. So we have read the book, both of us, and there are many useful tips in the book, which are good practices, and how to substitute, for example, which activities are good to do instead of social media.
But before we get into that, have you thought about why you faltered in January with digital minimalism, with the declutter?
Well, yes, actually, the thing is that I was starting to do the bullet journal, and building a new habit. It's hard. So if you need to do too many new habits, it's hard. So you tend to fall off. And the one thing that I did in a wrong way was definitely the rules I set up, because also in the book, the author says you shouldn't be. Cal Newport says you shouldn't be too strict with yourself, and I have this tendency to punish myself for some reason. So of course I was like, go hard or go home, and then
went home.
I went home pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was the things I did wrong.
No, but I think it is harder than you think. On the other hand, it's good that you notice that, or anybody who does that you notice that for yourself, because then you see how addicted or how already lured into the social media hamster wheel you are. So
yeah, but I mean everybody does, and the people who say I don't, that's not true, because
but for them it's easy. It's good to see then that.
Yeah, the algorithm, it's
it knows you.
It knows you better than you do yourself. But what I've liked about this book is that he says, for example, he explains the philosophy of the Amishes, it's called.
Amish, yeah.
Yeah, the Amish, about technology. And so he says, like, they don't hate technology. They're pro-technology. So when there is a new technology, they get one guy from their community and tell them, try this technology. And this guy has to really understand what is this technology and see if the benefits that you get from this technology are way more from what you will give away, or even if it's learning to use it. So they have, I think, they use, for example, solar power or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. They can use a car, they can sit in a car, but they cannot possess a car and be able to drive, because as they are very close community, they would, if they had,
they would drift apart. You mean?
Yeah. So this is very interesting.
But I like this. It's sort of like, be selective with what technology you let into your daily life set. So
yes. So this is what is this principle.
I love that in the book too. I thought that was fascinating, because especially the Amish, there are so many cliches out there, but I thought that was fascinating.
I mean, I still think that they're weird, but whatever.
You're allowed to think that. It's okay. Everybody has their opinion.
I mean, for me, it's very different because I don't. I think they're mainly in the U.S., right?
I'm not an expert,
but
on
I know
Amish.
that now there is a community which moved from Canada to Bulgaria. So in Bulgaria we have Amishes.
Really, Bulgarian Amish. That's going to be interesting.
My favorite comedy club podcast from Bulgaria did a special edition of their podcast about those Amish that moved to Bulgaria. But so as I said, there are many practices, many suggestions in the book. If you want to know all of them, we suggest you to buy the book of Cal Newport, or just watch a lot of Google him, or watch a bunch of podcasts where he has been guest. He has a TED Talk, I think. He's, I think, very hard to find on social media, because I don't know if he's really actively
I don't think he's very
present
active,
anywhere. Yeah. But we're gonna reveal you one big practice, which is the main thing. I mean, it's not the main thing, but it's sort of something that you can start with.
It's sort of like to get you started, to create like a baseline.
Yes. So if you want to know the whole method and the whole thing, take the book. We're not sponsored to sell you the book. I have to say, maybe in the future we will have some links, which will be affiliate links, for the matter of being honest with you guys, that it might come in the future, because doing the podcast requires time, requires technology, gear, which costs money, and it is a nice way to have your support without making you actually pay. But this is not currently happening, so we just read the book and we like it. So this is the 30 days digital declutter.
Okay, walk us through it.
Yes, so you can use the bullet journal, which I did today. And if you don't know what is the bullet journal,
full circle.
Go back to episode number 36. Or you can just use a paper or whatever. But it would be preferably not to use Excel because
That doesn't make
that
sense.
would be against the principle of digital minimalism. But basically, you have to have a paper with 3 columns, and in the first column on the right or on the left, depending if you're writing in Arabic or not, will be a list of technology. So, for example, I'm gonna open my list on my bullet journal right now, and for example, under technology, I've written everything which is technology-wise, which means, for example, I wrote all the social media use, which is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. Then I have emails, messaging systems. Then I have streaming services like Netflix or Prime. Then I have podcasts like Joe Rogan Experience, Comedy Club, Jocko Willing, and others that I listen. Then I have computer, smartphone, and tablet. So which is the 90. You wouldn't put a washing machine. Like you can still use your washing machine, your oven, and all this.
Yeah, we're not going Amish.
We're not going Amish. We're just going on digital declutter, and it's declutter, not detox. And this is what I like because it's putting order in your digital use. In the second column, you would define how you would use this or how you should use it. So, for example, I have Facebook. Not really need to use it. Instagram, I use it for TCI posts, in guest acquisition, or podcast collaboration because I use it as a place where I look for other people that do podcasts, or I look for people who are creatives and have cool work, and I text them or
we connecting with the audience and in general.
Then I have YouTube. YouTube, I said only for tutorials, or I can allow myself on the weekend for the Comedy Club podcast because it's on there. Twitter, I said no need. I mean, I don't need Twitter. It's just fun to see like people writing shit all day long on Twitter about what is going on currently.
But you get so lost in that endless scroll.
Yeah, and then you get pissed off at someone and you want to write them back. Like
that's the thing, and then you're very reactive.
But that's not really meaningful for me, so I can do without Twitter. Then I have email. And email for me and for a lot of people is very important. So I said like I should use it once a day and set up. We'll see what I'm going to set up. But only once a day I can use it. Messaging, I wrote avoid during working hours, which would mean before I was thinking about the whole day. But now I thought, okay, I'm going to use it. Not going to use messaging from the time I get to work to my lunch break and from my lunch break to the time I leave the office. Then I have Netflix/Prime. And in my first attempt, I said once a week, which is a little bit unrealistic because I live with you. You're not so disciplined as I am. No, that's not true. But I mean, it's nice to have like sometimes during the week you really are tired.
Yeah.
And in these days and times, there is not much we can do together. Although now we have gotten chess, and not because we watched that shitty show that I'm never gonna watch because everybody watched it.
Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit, yeah. This show I'm cursing again too much, but it's...
But because of the hypeness, because you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So, but...
I haven't seen it. I don't know, but we have. We have Dama, backgammon, and chess. So we're gonna be playing backgammon because we're gonna be like against the hype of chess. We're against chess, no chess. I am against chess. And so I said Netflix and Prime we can do like 2 times a week. Maximum 3. For me, it's important that the week has 7 days, which means the majority of days I'm not going to be watching Netflix. 3 days, it's the maximum. And 2 is the rule. And if you really beg me to watch a third time, it's okay. But it's...
No, I'm supporting you through this. I'm not going to beg you to watch anything.
And then I have all the podcasts. Joe Rogan and stuff like that. So
No, that
Yeah.
is your addiction.
Yes.
That's
Oh.
the thing.
So I wrote, I can listen to podcasts only during the commute or during household or during sport, which means
Oh, you're going to be doing so much more chores then the next 4 weeks.
No, for example, while I'm cleaning, something that doesn't really require my attention, or when I'm going to work.
Well, there is such a thing as mindful cleaning and being in the present, and but I
Don't make me curse one more time, please.
Okay.
I
Teasing you.
do wasabi cleaning, and for the people who don't know wasabi, you have to follow.
It's wabi sabi.
Yeah, you have to follow Désirée on Instagram to understand these inside jokes. And then I have the last things are computer. I wrote I will use computer only for work. Smartphone I'm going to use only for messages and calls because I need to call my family. And my tablet I'm going to use only for notes because I take notes. I have a pencil and social media when I need to post the Instagram things. And the third column is when can it be used? So for example, Facebook, I wrote first row technology, Facebook, how or should you use it? No need to use it. When it can be used? Never. For this.
Yeah, sort of give time.
For these 30 days, never. Instagram, I said I'm going to use it for TCI post and guest acquisition. I will set up 1 hour maximum on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's the time I need to use it.
So everybody, if there's a delay in response,
Yes.
it's because of the digital declutter.
Exactly. Then YouTube, I said only for tutorials or useful videos like that, maximum 1 hour daily, which means if I need a tutorial, probably it's going to be half an hour or something, and then I have to do actually these things. Twitter, I said I don't need to use it, so I'm never going to use it for these 30 days. Email, it's going to be only once a day and only for work. So I'm going to be setting maybe half an hour in the evening where I check my emails or something like that. Messaging, we said for important issues on work, otherwise only outside of working times. Netflix and Prime, maximum 3 times a week, only in company for fun. This is when it can be used, like in the evening, fun time. And the Joe Rogan experience will be only during commute or household, and will be like because it's funny to listen, and it's also I think that by listening other podcasts which are way better than ours at this point, it's useful to get to listen how they do it, how they talk.
Yeah.
Computer for work when needed, which means I don't know when needed. I don't use that much my computer for when I don't need it. And smartphone, we said it's going to be calls and messages, daily basis for important issues. And tablet will be only when I'm reading or at the times of the week where I need to post stuff on the social media.
That does sound very less strict than in January than what you set up.
Yeah, because that was stupid, and I was thinking, okay, now this is...
Well, you weren't stupid, but it's just, you were just trying to overperform yourself.
Yeah, but it's impossible because really, I mean, a lot, like, our guests are 90% from social media, and 10% I know that. But, so it's not that easy.
Which part do you think is going to be the hardest? The podcasts, probably listening to the other podcasts?
Yeah, probably. And the thing is also that because at work we sit in an open space, and hearing all the loud people around me doesn't let me concentrate. I usually listen to podcasts in that time too, but I'm going to listen to non-lyrics, chill, lo-fi music from Spotify as alternative. Because this is my thing. And I forgot to add here, I have to add Podbean. Podbean is the hosting platform of our podcast. Again, not sponsored, unfortunately. But I tend to check it too much to see how the podcast goes.
Yeah, the metrics.
So probably I'm gonna set up that like whenever you post the podcast, you check how the metrics are going. Because and that's something that I really notice affects me a lot. Because I'm like, oh, we did this podcast and it's gonna be great, and I posted, nobody listens it, or not nobody, but not enough people as I was expecting, and then it's not.
Yeah, it's that pressure spiral. That's another thing we didn't talk about that in when we were talking about the social media. It's like the number of likes you get, the number of views of a post, et cetera, et cetera. It's sort of like it makes you wanting more and become better, and that's another addictive thing.
For example, I don't have the social media apps on my smartphone. I have them on my tablet because the tablet.
Good.
Because I don't want to be checking my smartphone. It's too easy to check it on the smartphone. And on the tablet, if I want to check it while I'm at work or something, I need to put a mobile hotspot, and then I would be able to check it. So.
I have to say, I hardly use my phone.
And all the notifications are off, also on the tablet. So
I don't know. I turned off my notifications, I think, years ago. Even of email, the only thing I get is like messages from you from notifications.
But I have a thing also with notifications. Like, notifications are annoying because if you have notifications on, as you said, the social media will pop. Like, they will pop every few minutes.
Come back to me. Scroll through me.
Yes. But if you turn them off, you'll be yourself, let me check my notifications.
Well, that's where you have to
weird.
Discipline yourself.
Yeah, this is why discipline equals freedom. Now I'm focusing on these rules we have set up here. I guess this podcast will be released Wednesday, 17th of February. So I'm going to start 17th of February so that if the listener starts with me, we can do it for
Are you going to do like a weekly check-in on Instagram? That'd actually be cool. Maybe we'll do that.
Maybe we'll do that. I don't know. Maybe no, we don't. We're not going to do it because we're doing.
Oh right, yeah.
We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it because we don't want people to get distracted. We're not going to do anything.
But after 4 weeks,
in a month, we're going to do another extra podcast with something else, with a new topic. We'll see what it will be. So. You'll have to stay tuned. I'm
going to keep you accountable during these 4 weeks.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be fun to do it because I think I've done it already a couple of times. But what is cool in the book, and you should read, is that the guy tells you that in the end of these 30 days, you have to be very aware of how this make you feel, how you reacted to this declutter. And then do the Amish philosophy, like what I'm going to reintroduce in my life again and why. And do I really need it? And if you want to be aware of what is going on with you on a daily basis, we have told you that in episode number 36, the bullet journal. Start a bullet journal.
Yeah.
And then you have the reflection time in the evening if you have bought the book, The Bullet Journal Method. And in the evening, after you go through your daily log, you can write, okay, today I felt that way or I felt this way. And then after a month, if you don't remember, you can go through your bullet journal and see how this whole thing was going on and be more aware. So this is what I'm going to do.
So this is step 1, digital declutter. And step 2 will actually be digital minimalism. And that's starting in March.
No, digital minimalism.
No, because you reintroduce it.
If you introduce, it's a sort of digital discipline. So, like, I don't know,
Or coining a new thing.
Yeah, we're like, it's just being decluttered with your digital life. And if you find the balance, which is something that I'm not really good with, because for me, it would be easier to not do anything at all or be constantly on social media. So I have to find the right balance where I have pros and cons. Like I have just the pros and minimize the cons.
But everybody feels that way. It's and again, it's not a all or nothing thing. You have to find the balance. It's all about that balance.
I don't know. I have
not too much cake.
I have the feeling you're better at those things because you're a little bit more woke and you know about, like, I don't know, being aware and I don't
being so
know,
nice.
and being wabi-sabi and stuff like that. So I think you're a little bit more a little bit better. I'm more like go hard or go home.
Yeah, and I go hard.
Yes. So basically, this was this special edition digital declutter. I think we're through. What do you say?
I think so too.
Yeah. So
Try it out.
I think we're gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna conclude our episode by telling you that we are very thankful for your support so far.
And your attention.
And if you want to listen to the Creative Insider podcast with awareness, you can click in the link up on the top of our description and subscribe to our monthly newsletter, which Désirée is curating with the best of. So it's not my personal best of. We discuss it, but she's doing the most of it.
I look for the themes.
If you want to follow our social media, of course, we invite you to do that, because there you will find the posts of the guests. And every Friday, so we're going to tell you which day, Friday, you don't have to check every single day. You can go only on Friday on the social media. We'll be posting hits, which will be like carousels about how to monetize your creativity, how to improve your creativity, like about triggers which might inspire your creativity, and like creative skills which make you a better creative. So again, it will be only on Friday, and you'll have also a badge in the cover, so you'll know about which topic is. And so let's say if you're a student, you don't want to monetize your creativity, you don't have to read those. Or if you are a professional, which is super duper with the best skills ever, you can just read about the certain topics that interest you. So I suggest you to go at TCI Podcast on Instagram, follow us, or on LinkedIn or Facebook. It's the Creative Insider. We have a page on each platforms. So this is the support we will like to have if you like the show and if you like the work we put in. And we're trying to get better. Today we figured out, I think, the right setting for the microphones. So let us know if in this episode the audio drastically improved.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you very much, and bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
The whole world stops just like that. Like that. Just like that.